Welcome to the Music Nut Program. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining me today. As we continue, it's Thin Lizzy Thursday with Thin Lizzy's sixth album, Jailbreak. This was released on March 26, 1976 on Vertigo Records. Later would be put out on Mercury Records here in the United States. This would be the band's breakthrough record. And to me, this is the universal Thin Lizzy record. This is like what Moving Pictures is to Rush, what Back in Black is to AC/DC, the self-titled debut by Boston, the self-titled debut by The Cars. I go into this a little bit in this book, Honesty is No Excuse. This is the Thin Lizzy panel book that Martin Popoff wrote, and I'm part of the panel that reviewed the Jailbreak album. So, why was this a breakthrough for Thin Lizzy? Well, the big reason was the hit single, The Boys Are Back in Town. Here, this is where Thin Lizzy put it all together. And it wasn't just on that song, it's on this whole album. Just to let you know, we have the classic lineup here. We have Phil Lynott on bass guitar, acoustic guitar, and lead vocals. We have Scott Gorham on lead and rhythm guitars. We have Brian Robertson on lead and rhythm guitars. And we have Brian Downey on drums and percussion. So this album, we go back to Jim Fitzpatrick for the artwork on here, and he will be doing the artwork for several albums in the near future. This is the album that you hear the most played on album-oriented rock or classic rock or mainstream rock radio these days. Not just The Boys Are Back in Town. Let's get into the tracks. Before we do, John Alcock produced this album. He would also produce their next album, Johnny the Fox. He would also produce albums by John Entwistle, Earl Slick, and the Runaways. He was also part of the production recording team for the Who's second rock opera, Quadrophenia, in 1973. So let's get into the tracks. The title song. These days, it's the most well-known and played song by Thin Lizzy next to The Boys Are Back in Town. This starts with that big power chord and it goes into that killer riff. We go into Phil's wonderful delivery here as a vocalist. And the thing with Phil here on this album, he started really finding his delivery as to how he would sing. He was becoming more of a storyteller as he was like a vocalist. He wasn't like singing rhythmically perfect all the time. He was telling a story. Jailbreak is about what it's saying, but the music really fits the song. We have a fantastic chorus on here. We have wonderful dual guitar lines on here. We have a lot of sense of drama in that bridge, the musical bridge, when you have the sirens playing, and then it goes back into the main song. There are some great hooks on this song. There are great hooks all over this album. Jailbreak is one of their more iconic songs that led off the Live and Dangerous double live album from 1978. It still leads off a lot of their songs to this day. This or Are You Ready? So, fantastic way to open a classic album. Angel from the Coast. We start with that strummed guitar, and then you have the other guitar coming in, complementing it before Brian's drums kick in, and we go into this great groove. Excellent song here. We got great guitar chords. Lot of that on this album, not just on the big hits. We got a lot of those Who guitar chords that are complementing those unison guitar lines from Brian Robertson, Scott Gorham. Excellent track here. And great chorus on it. And then there's a nice musical bridge here again. And another great storytelling lyric from Phil. Excellent track. Running Back. Now, Running Back is this R&B song a la Van Morrison. Now, keep in mind, Thin Lizzy was releasing their sixth album. They did not have any real big commercial success at this point. Vertigo wanted to release this as the single, and this sounds like a stab at radio. It's very well structured, well crafted. You got classy horn lines, although whoever played the horns on here is not credited. You got Tim Hinckley playing keyboards on here. You got a very wonderful vocal from Phil. You got that sha-la-la vocal hook in there. The guitar lines on here are great, a little more subdued than the first two tracks. Work very well for the song. As I said, it was very Van Morrison, and they had touched on this kind of sound early in their career. They would continue doing this. Dancing in the Moonlight from Bad Reputation was similar in scope to this song. Romeo and the Lonely Girl. This was a song that they were thinking about releasing as a single as well, but the band weren't too keen on it. Very melodic, very nice story song here again. You got great fills from Brian Downey. Kind of a silly chorus, which I really talk about in the Honesty is No Excuse book, but it just works. Great solos on here. I like during the solo where they start singing the chorus near the end of the solo. I think that's a real nice touch. That little "Oh Romeo" at the end vocal there when the song is going through the fade out. I think it's very well done. So those two songs were Phil Wright wrote those exclusively as that he did the title song. Angel from the Coast was Phil and Brian Robertson. Warriors, this is Scott Gorham and Phil in it. A lot of echo on here, which reminds you that this is not quite the Timeless album, although it's very immediate, it's very energetic. The guitars are really up in a mix, it's very bright sounding, but you do hear those echoes. You think 1976. We got a lot of echo on there. And we got a lot of echo on Fight or Fall as well. But this is one of the heavier songs on the album. The guitar lines on here, the unison guitar lines, as well as solos, kill on here. I love how they have Brian's drum fills being sandwiched in by those guitar chords. A great musical bridge after the solo. The ending chords and the guitar lines are excellent too. This is one of those songs where there's so many great riffs on it. They could come up so many riffs on here. It's like a lot of bands would like to have this many riffs over their whole career, let alone one song. Excellent track. Boys Are Back in Town, the huge hit single, number 12 in the US, number 8 in the UK, number 1 in Ireland. What a fantastic story song. Hooks galore, no proper guitar solo, but those unison guitar lines from Scott and Brian, full bloom, full display. So many different little hooks with the vocals, nice key change in that little short bridge. Everything about this song works, and it's very easy to see why this has become an iconic song in the Thin Lizzy canon and in the classic rock genre. A lot of people consider this like a mix of Bruce Springsteen's lyrics with the Who's power chords. That's true, but it's just part of the story. It's those simple little hooks, those simple little intangibles in this song, as throughout the album. And of course, those unison guitar lines that really make this song their own and a classic. Fight or Fall. This is really mellow. I love Phil's vocals on these mellow songs. This is where he really shines as a vocalist. Very effective and classy. The band's use of restraint on here, how they're playing for the song, works wonderfully. As I mentioned, there is a lot of echo on this song, but it's a very elegant song, an excellent, underrated, deep track. They just had a knack for these songs, and The heart of it is Phil's vocals, his soulful vocals. Cowboy Song would be the third single released off this album. First single, of course, Boys Are Back in Town. Second single, Jailbreak. This hit number 77 in the United States. This was a co-write between Brian Downey and Phil Lynott. This is another one of their most well-known tracks, ones that have really endured. It starts really slow, like we're going to go into a country western tune, and then those unison guitar lines kick in before the main theme comes in and Phil goes into his vocal. I am just a cowboy, lonesome on the trail, talking about life on the road. Great use of analogy there. Excellent chorus on here. Roll me over and turn me around. Let me keep on spinning until I hit the ground. Fantastic. The unison guitars on here are excellent. There's a breakdown where Phil goes, it's okay, amigo. And they go back right into those unison guitar lines again. And then we get some more of those great solos before they end it with the chorus again. And they go, Cowboy's life. And then they stop. It's a life for me. And then we hit the guitar chord to end the song. Fantastic track. Emerald, written by the whole band. This has a riff to die for, and it's played in unison by Scott and Brian, and sometimes you hear Phil coming in there playing it on the bass. The drums on here by Brian Downey, spectacular. This is a great Irish story song. The musical bridges are wonderful. A lot of Phil's on here, a lot of drama. But everything works. Those dueling guitar solos at the end are excellent before we go into that main theme, and then we end the song. Fantastic album from a very rich musical catalog is Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. This would be their only gold album in the United States. Now, I think what hurt Thin Lizzy, and a lot of people will tell you this, bad luck. Phil got hepatitis. They had to cut the tour short for this album. Should they keep touring? They were usually like a special guest at this point. They're opening for somebody like Aerosmith, and later on they'd be opening for Queen when they were really hitting their peak. I think they keep touring. They push these singles hard. This goes platinum in the first year, and then maybe we get a few other iconic hit singles to go along with the Boys Are Back in Town. So, what do you think of Jailbreak? What do you think of their classic hit single, The Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak, and Cowboy Song, which have become enduring AOR songs? What do you think of the deep cuts on this album? What do you think of Running Back? Because that is a bit of an outlier on this album, even though it isn't that way in their catalog. What do you think of some of their other deeper cuts on here? This is a very tight album, too, about 36 minutes. Your longest song is Cowboy Song, which it feels like an epic, but it's just a little over 5 minutes. Let me know in the comments. Join me next week on November 14 when I talk about Thin Lizzy's 7th album as part of Thin Lizzy Thursday, their second fantastic album from 1976, Johnny the Fox. Just to give you some programming notes here, on my friend John Clauser's channel, My Music Corner, we continue the Up to the Limit, the Accept series on their studio albums. This week, we talk about their 10th album, 1994's Death Row. Our guest this week is Reed Little, who you best know from The Contrarians and from Rock Daydream Nation. We did a panel show on Grant's Rock Warehouse recently John and I, along with a fantastic panel, joined Grant Arthur as we talked about our top 10 songs from 1985. Next Tuesday, which will be, I'm sorry, next Monday, which will be November 11th, I will join Jake, not from State Farm, on his channel, where we discuss Megadeth's fourth album, Rust in Peace from 1990. That is part of the Megadeth Monday series that Jake is doing on his channel. This weekend, I will be doing a top 10 albums from 1970, which finished second in the poll that I put out here on the Music Nut program. Thank you all so much for voting. But I already got my selections lined up. I'll probably put that out on Sunday, which will be November 10th. And that's everything I have lined up right now. I got some things coming up with Bicycle Legs and Curless Mania. I still do some things on the Contrarians. I'll definitely have another show in November, just to let y'all know that. I was part of the hair metal, our favorite hair metal albums show that came out last week, and that went over very well. So until I see you again, do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.